Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
It is chilly willy out there this morning, Jamie. It's 7 degrees in the old hub city today, but fear not, by 6 o'clock tonight it'll be 34, but it's 4 o'clock this afternoon it's going to be 37.
Chuck, so, I've got 4 right now.
You've got 4. Okay, well.
Our thermostat right now, our temperature outside can only count to 4.
4, okay. Well, I mean, tomorrow, Jeff, half glass full, it's going to be 53 tomorrow for a high.
4. Currently 4. It is so cold, you walk outside right now and you lose train of your thought because it is so cold.
You see your breath. You see your breath, right?
You see your bones crack because it's so cold.
Jamie, is Winfield, this is not Winfield weather, is it? He probably is not wanting to go outside at all under any circumstances.
No, he goes out when he needs to, but he doesn't stay out there very long.
He doesn't stay out there very long. He's not a stupid dog. He's a smart hitter, that Winfield. We'll have hoops on tonight, as Jeff said, on the high school version, as the Odessa Broncos come to town to take on Friendship Tigers. As they come to town, they go into Wolford, which is basically in town. I think, it's closer and closer that everything's kind of running together now. But I'm guessing the longtime Wolford townies really would not want to say, well, if you say come into town, are you in Wolford today? But I think the people that have just recently moved there are like, yeah, where do you live? I live in Lubbock. But if you've been in Wolford like for 20 years, you're like, no, I live in Wolford, right? Wouldn't you get that? Don't you get that sense, Jamie, from being around
I think if you are
long-time townies?
If you live in Wolford and you are talking to somebody from, New York City,
Big Bend,
you say, I live in Lubbock, Texas. If you live in if you live in Wolford and you're talking to somebody who lives on 82nd Street, you say, I live out in Wolford.
Out in Wolford. Okay.
Yeah.
Live out.
But if you're talking to somebody out of town, you just say Lubbock.
Out-of-towners. The Friendship Tigers today caught on the Odessa High Broncos. I don't know why I'm just so bothered by this in terms of how they spell Broncos, Bronchos, but I am. I'm really bothered by that.
Well,
Jamie.
That's a tough deal, man.
I mean, it's just, I have no problem with Friendship spelling the way that they spell their name. I mean, because you would think, like friendship, you would spell it friendship.
But that's not the name of the school. It's not friendship.
I know it's friendship, right? Friendship. It's not friendship.
No, it's not.
Okay, so we'll have those games tonight on Sunny 97.7. The proceedings get underway at 6 o'clock tonight from the Tiger Pit. Liberty Patriots on the road at Snyder. And we'll have those games for you on 93.1 Yes FM and also on the mobile app. If you care not to go down to Snyder tonight, fear not. We've got it on the radio for you at 93.1 Yes FM, or you can stream it at 931yesfm.com. So we'll have you covered. Marquise says this. We're new Wolford residents. Don't lump us in with those Lubbock people. Oh, okay. Yes, sir. I won't lump you in with those, quote, Lubbock people. Jamie, I saw this last night, and I think this will make you smile, and I hope it works out for him. And maybe going smaller is better for him than being at the big schools. But Graham Harrell, who was recently elected to the National Football Foundation's College Football Hall of Fame, is going to be hired as the next offensive coordinator for the Abilene Christian Wildcats.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. So he'll go to work for Keith Patterson, who, of course, was the defensive coordinator here for a number of years at Texas Tech. I say number, a couple. Coach Harrell has been at a couple different spots, but now his next stop is Abilene Christian. And so that's good. It did not work out for him at Purdue, and maybe Coach Patterson is the right person for him to work with and kind of work on his offense. And I have no idea what kind of career goals he has, but they had a great interview with him on Thetford and Ashby on Saturday, and Graham admitted that he really wasn't sure when the elections were supposed to be announced. It was announced, last week, and he thought that had come and gone. And he said that he was home and the FedEx guy dropped off this package for him, and inside, this is how they announce it. Basically, 6 million people have been playing college football, and 1,100 people are in the College Football Hall of Fame, and you're one of them. And there's a football there. So that's how he found out. And apparently, he was in a text chat with one of his buddies when he opened up the package, and so that's pretty cool. That's how that took place. So.
Yeah, I think any way that it happens, when you find out, it's going to be cool. I mean, whether you're surprised or not surprised or whatever, you have people there or you're by yourself, it's always going to be a special moment for those guys. And, with him going to Abilene Christian, they usually when you use the term, oh, those two deserve each other, that's usually like that's like two people that you feel are negative, right? That you don't really like.
Sure, yeah.
Okay,
right.
well, I thought Coach Patterson was a great guy, and obviously root hard for Graham Harrell too. So those two seem like good guys, and so they deserve each other, and it's a positive thing, not a negative thing.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah. Great. So Coach Harrell had been at Oklahoma State, Washington State, North Texas, USC, West Virginia, and now also Purdue, and now Abilene Christian. So I hope it works out for him. And he seemed like a guy that was very enthusiastic and still had a lot of. He's a young guy. He's 39 years old. So he's obviously got a lot of gas left in the tank. But anyway, it sounded like he was in a good spot with his life and his wife and his career, and obviously getting elected to the College Football Hall of Fame is something really, really special. 6:39 this morning here on the Morning Drive. They'll announce the Cooperstown people to be inducted this summer, baseball players. We'll get to that. I want to get Jamie's take on the guys that are up and could get in today to Cooperstown. So at any rate.
This is the Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Is Tuesday, January the 21st, 2025. With this day in sports history, here is Jeff McGuire.
Here I am. Helps if you turn the microphone on, guys. Sorry. 1954. The first time in NBA All-Star history, an overtime period is needed to decide the All-Star game. Boston Celtics guard Bob Cousy's 10-point overtime scoring burst gave the East a 98-93 win. Cousy also wins the All-Star MVP. Moving on to 1968, in the 18th NFL Pro Bowl at the LA Memorial Coliseum, the West beats the East 38-20. Gale Sayers and halfback out of Chicago. Gale Sayers, the halfback out of Chicago, and Dave Robinson, Green Bay Packers defensive tackle were your MVPs. 1984, U.S. Male Figure Skating Championship was won by Scott Hamilton. They still should let the backflip to be allowed in figure skating.
It's not allowed?
It's an illegal move.
Too dangerous?
You land on 2 feet.
Wow.
In every jump in figure skating, you have to land on 1 foot.
Really?
The safe way to do, which is why it was so amazing when that one figure skater, God, this must have been 12 years ago now, when she did the backflip and landed it on 1 foot, everybody went absolutely crazy, because normally you do the backflip and you land on both feet.
Yeah, when I do a backflip, I always land on both.
I land on a trampoline.
Yeah. I land on my rump. Hey, Jamie, I mean, who knew that kind of? I mean, that's our 1%er at work right there. I mean, that's the definition of it right there, because I mean, who knew that it was illegal to do a backflip in figure skating and land on 2 feet?
And why would it be illegal to land on 2 feet?
Every jump in figure skating has to land on 1 foot. Like, that's part of their rules. I don't know why. That's just what their rules are.
I just want to know why.
You have to.
Seems like a backflip would be pretty cool, and so they would allow the backflip to land on 2 feet. But okay.
I think, it has something to do with them considering the backflip a stunt, while their jumps are tricks. And while we would do that, use those words interchangeably, this is the International Olympic and Figure Skating Competition Board. These are people who think that judges can determine who wins a contest.
Yeah, and I'm probably not the guy to ask on what should be rules and what should be allowed and not allowed for figure skating, since I, don't ever watch it.
I'll just say this. If you can do a backflip and you can land on your 2 feet, I call that athletic.
If you can figure skate, I think that's an athletic achievement.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
1995, Jason Sasser and Mark Davis score 30 points each on SMU as Texas Tech wins 98-77 en route to a share of the Southwest Conference title.
Already?
Wow. That's a good question. Why would they already have a Maybe I got the wrong date.
They could have won a bunch of games. Those two teams could have won a bunch of games and have lapped the field, so to speak.
I'll check the date on. I'm going to mark that down to check the date on that. I might have the wrong date. But that's okay, because on this day in 1998, senior Corey Carr, Big 12 scoring leader at the time, had 31 points, and Texas Tech beats Kansas State 79-76 in Lubbock.
Okay.
And in 2018, AFC NFC championships took place. Gillette Stadium in Foxborough, New England Patriots beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 24-20. And in Philadelphia, the Eagles beat the Vikings 38-7. It is National Granola Bar Day and New England Clam Chowder Day.
In on the granola bar, out on the clam chowder.
I'm with Chuck. Yeah.
Happy birthday to Baby Spice Emma Burton, who turns 49. Billy Ocean, 75. Gina Davis, 69. And Akeem the Dream Olajuwon is 62.
Wow.
I bet he can still shake it.
Shake what?
The Dream Shake, Chuck. That's
the
his
Dream Shake.
That was his patent go-to move.
Can you do a Dream Shake, Jamie?
Yeah, I'd have to watch it again. I'm trying to remember which way he started.
You start right, left, right, backspin, fade away.
Okay. Yeah, I think I could do it. I'd have to watch the video.
But it's also
the hokey pokey,
a lot faster than what I just described.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I would get to use deodorant, unlike Olajuwon.
Yeah, very true.
Which,
and we appreciate you using
changes
deodorant.
Everything.
And on this day,
Can you imagine having to play a D up against a guy down in the post as big as him who doesn't use deodorant?
Even if he did, I don't know that I could
sweaty in the middle of a game. I mean, do you imagine how nasty that must have been?
He did not use deodorant? I did not know that.
Yeah.
It's like against his religious beliefs or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
On this day, 1793, one day after being convicted of conspiracy with foreign powers and sentenced to death by the French National Convention, King Louis XVI is executed by guillotine in the Place de la Révolution in Paris. 9 months later, Marie Antoinette was convicted of treason by a tribunal. And October 16th, she followed her husband to the guillotine. And this day's sports history.
All right, this day in sports history. Thank you, Mr. McGuire. A couple of things here from the Yates Flooring Center chat line. I'm going to read this kind of like I think it was written, okay? If it was the 30-2 team, they were probably 7-0 en route to the championship, meaning the championship was coming, not achieved, Chuck.
That's how I took it when you said en route. Like it was they were on their way.
Oh,
doesn't
my
mean
apologies.
they had clinched
I did not hear the word en route. So my apologies on that.
You said en route, Jeff. I heard it. Yeah.
No, I did say it, but I'm still.
They're just on their way.
I don't know that I like the wording of that. I might change the wording of this one for next year.
I think en route is fair. That's a fair comment. I just didn't. I thought when the way that you said that, the way that I heard that was that they had wrapped it up. So that was my misunderstanding. So, but I just love how it was not achieved, Chuck. Scott writes
I am still possibly saying that this game could have taken place on February 21st. I'm still going to check the date.
Scott writes in, Friendship School District was originally submitted as Friendship, but that was already being used. So a close version of it, Friendship, FRENSHIP, was accepted.
That's interesting because I have wondered before how they came up with that name. I figured there was somebody that had that name. Mm-hmm. There was some famous person in our area that had that name. It was named after him, so clearly that was wrong.
Okay, Viva 73, one of our usuals. You guys forget this was regarding Graham Harrell. He was the OC at Southern Cal and did a really good job out there. Did he? Texas tried to hire an OC and he turned them down. Okay. It's not that he hasn't had success. He's just made some bad choices of the school he went to after leaving North Texas. West Virginia had very little talent when he was there, and it appears that Purdue really had no talent. Okay, there's some fairness to that.
Mm-hmm.
There's some fairness to that. I remember those NFL East versus West All-Star games, and then AFC versus NFC 1970 started. Those were pretty good games back then. Yeah, and then they weren't.
Yeah.
and then they weren't.
Mm-hmm.
And then they weren't. We will have Red Raider basketball. We'll talk some about that coming up after 7. I also want to get Jamie's take on the baseball guys to be elected potentially today to the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. That's coming up. Those announcements. There's already 2 vets that are getting in, and there's 2 or 3 guys that could get elected today. So we'll get to that this morning here on the Morning Drive on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3. Don't forget the high school games tonight. Friendship on Sunny 97.7 and Liberty on 93.1. Yes, FM. Tomorrow we'll have Lady Raider basketball from Houston. Coverage now at 12:30. The tip at 1. I'll keep you advised if they move it to like 10:30 in the morning tomorrow morning. I don't think they will. I think it'll still stay at 1 o'clock for the tip tomorrow.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. Yates Flooring Center chat line is open. Go to doublet973.com for that, of the mobile app. Visual Edge IT hotline is open too at 806-771-0973. Jeff, you have a Morning Drive update for us with regard to our discussion in this day in sports history?
And now, for a Morning Drive update.
Yeah, it was in fact on this day in 1995. That was the 94-95 season where they finished 20 and 10 with a loss in the first round of the NIT with a 20-10 record. So it was this day.
They wrapped up the Southwest Conference.
Well, no, they didn't wrap up. They were en route to a Southwest Conference title.
En route to. Okay,
but
en route to.
I was more surprised that they finished 20-10 and played in the NIT.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
That must have been a loaded field in 95.
Yeah, or they didn't like the
loss to Texas in the conference championship game.
Or non-conference. You didn't get a lot in non-conference, or maybe the conference wasn't that good that year, and so you didn't have a lot of big wins.
I'm just saying the Southwest Conference winner for the regular season not making it into the NCAA tournament with a 20-win record.
Sure.
Yep, no doubt.
That's a good point. Okay, they will make the announcement today for the Baseball Hall of Fame, who is going to be inducted later this summer, in fact, into Cooperstown. The election results will be announced today. We already know, Jamie, that Dave Parker and Dick Allen, Richie Allen, Richard Allen, whatever you want to call him, Allen, is going in, and deservedly so. Both those guys were my youth and my heyday, and I think both deservedly so. Parker probably took him longer to get in because of some issues off the field, and Richie Allen, kind of how I knew him as, he could be prickly, so that probably hurt him a little bit. But the guys that are going to get in today, Jamie, this article that I'm looking at from CBS Sports, Ichiro Suzuki, without a doubt, is going to be a Hall of Famer. The question is, what's his percentage going to be? It's going to be over 99% and could be unanimous that he would join Mariano Rivera as the only other unanimous inductee. Does he deserve to be unanimous, Jamie?
He does. As far as I'm concerned, he does. I mean, I can't imagine anybody not voting for him, but I would have said the same thing of Ken Griffey Jr. and Derek Jeter. Derek
Jeter, yeah.
Jeter missed by 1 vote and Jr. missed by 3. I'm just blown away that those people are still allowed to vote. But, yeah, I think Ichiro's deserving of it.
Okay. Also on this particular list is CC Sabathia. Right now on public ballots, as of yesterday morning, he was named on 93.2% of the ballots. This article says, generally speaking, the old school voters, the more veteran voters, tend to keep their votes private, and that last time Sabathia lost about 18% of what his percentage was, and the thought is that he'll have more than enough to be at 75%. CC Sabathia, he's a Hall of Famer, isn't he, Jamie?
Yeah, I think so. Over 250 wins, which is kind of now the new 300, just because guys don't end up pitching as long. So I would say that, plus an ERA that's under 4 for his career. I mean, there was a 3, 4, 5 year stretch where CC Sabathia was the best pitcher in baseball. So yeah, I would guess he'll get in.
Okay, and here's one that's kind of on the outside looking in. Billy Wagner, this is his 10th and final vote. He was at 73.8 last year, and I think the number was all he needed last year was 5 votes. And this guy points out that there's 2 new voters at CBS Sports, and he says, and we both voted for Billy Wagner. Is Billy Wagner a Hall of Famer?
I think he is. I mean, the knock on Wagner is that he doesn't have the postseason success that a lot of guys had. Didn't have a lot of opportunity in the short time that he did pitch in the postseason. His ERA was ballooned, so didn't have postseason opportunity and didn't have postseason success. But beyond that, I mean, his numbers were great. He was one of the best closers in the history of baseball. So I think he's deserving, and I think he'll end up getting in.
So right now, his public vote is tracking at 84.7%. He lost 4.5% last year when you added in all the votes. So he would be above the 75%. So the thought with this article is that Billy Wagner's going to get in. Now, here's some guys that are on the outside looking in. One is Carlos Beltran. Is Carlos Beltran, if you didn't have the Houston stink, would he have already been a Hall of Famer, Jamie?
Yes, I think so.
So he's tracking at 80.7%. He lost 9.3% from his public ballots last year. So he's in a similar fall set to top 70%. And the thought is that given how light the ballot is for next year, he's a likely 2026 Hall of Fame inductee. Does he deserve to be in the Hall of Fame?
I mean, if it's just for his on-the-field stuff, I mean, he was a great, great player. So, yes.
Yeah, and see, that's where it gets sticky because on the baseball side, there's a lot of things to consider that you can consider. It's not just on the field. Like for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and we'll get to that when we get closer to the Super Bowl, because there's at least one controversial person that's on the list. It's just what you did on the field. It's not your character. It's not your personal stuff, but we'll get to that later.
Well, it's not supposed to be in baseball either. It's just the voters are allowed to vote that way. I mean, it's supposed to be about what they do on the field, but
what they do on the field.
Yeah, but I mean, these baseball writers are an interesting group. Let's just say that.
All right, how about Andrew Jones? He's now tracking at 72.2%, and he took an 8% hit on the public ballots from the between the public and the actual voting, which means he's in the 64%. I saw an article the other day that if you just kind of looked at the first, maybe 10, 12 years of his career, he's a Hall of Famer, but it's the back half of his career that diminished him a little bit. It's keeping him out at this point.
Yeah, didn't finish strong by any stretch of the imagination. Didn't stick around a long, long time. Man, he was great when he was in his prime. He was really, really good defensive center fielder, and then hit for power as well. Kind of broke onto the scene at a young age, but kind of fizzled out decently quick. So this is a hard one for me because, again, I feel like he was, the best defensive center fielder at the time when he was in his prime, but and then could hit. But if you look at the offensive numbers, they're pretty low compared to other guys that are in the Hall of Fame.
So he's got this year plus 2 more to get in, and this guy thinks he'll get in on his in his last ballot. His name is Matt Snyder. He's a writer for CBS Sports. And then after that.
And why do we let that be okay? Why do we let that? Oh, he'll be a last ballot Hall of Fame. Why do we let that be? Why do we let that be okay? Why is it okay that we're making somebody wait 9 years and then put him in?
Oh, I don't know.
The number of guys. You remember back, 10 years or so ago, they didn't put anybody in.
Yeah.
Okay, didn't put anybody in. So I don't know. Again, the
drunken sports writers,
baseball writers are an interesting group to say the least. I think they've made a mockery of the Hall of Fame.
Okay, so let me ask you about 2 other guys who are going to be on the ballot still, but have both failed to get more than 35%. One is A-Rod and one is Manny Ramirez.
Never going to make it. Neither one of them.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3. Presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is brought to you by Connecticut of West Texas.
All right, gentlemen, the national championship game of college football was last night, which means the college football playoff is finished. They had a bracket this year, in case you didn't know. They believe it's the first time that there's ever had a sport that's had a bracket. Okay, but we all know that that's not necessarily the case. My question for you gentlemen today and our fine listening audience, I'm going to allow you to change 3 things about the college football playoff. Just 3. Only 3. What 3 things are you changing?
All right. For me, number 1, I want it to be a 16-team bracket with 8 games at home. Okay. Number 2, I don't want there to be any guaranteed buys for the top 4 teams or specific conferences. And number 3, I want the national championship game to end on, I think, not New Year's Day, but the 8th, no later than the 8th of January, so that the semifinal games are on January 1st and the national championship game is a week later.
All right, Jeff?
So I agree. Coming up with the third one's a little hard, and I say that this is only the first iteration of it, and the 2 things that I want changed, I think will fix other problems that we already have with it. Number 1 thing you've got to fix going into next year is the seeding. The buys don't need to go to the conference champions of the Power 4. They need to go to the 4 best teams. And I think that would fix some of our competitiveness early on. And I think that would fix the games moving forward so you get more excited about each game. This year, it kind of felt like, okay, well, there's 1 game we're interested in this week, and there's 4 others being played kind of concept. The second thing, and I think Chuck's right, this needs to go to at least 16. I don't know that I'm going any higher than 16. 12 is just such a weird number. Go to 16 like an actual bracket would be, where it's, 4, 4, 4, 4. And then you shoot that down, and then you shoot that down, and everybody's done. You're not adding another week to it. You're just making it fit better. I would like to see those two changes happen before I figure out what a third one would be. But those are the two 1A, 1 and B problems that have to get fixed.
Okay. For me, I wanted to start a week earlier, and that basically ends it a week earlier. I want 16 teams, and the third thing is I want no guarantees. No guarantees of anything. You pick the top 16 teams, no matter if they all come from the SEC, if 2 of them come from the SEC, if they're all Power 4 conference. I want nothing guaranteed. I want the top 16 teams, period.
Okay.
Yeah.
Period.
So
And
we're basically pretty close for all 3 of us. I definitely think it went too long this year. I question myself a little bit on that and saying, because I feel like it got lost in the NFL playoffs. Yep. But is that because the teams that I'm interested in are still alive in the NFL playoffs, and if my teams weren't in it, didn't make the NFL playoffs, would I be focused more on the college football playoff? Because again, and if you're in Ohio and your Browns are gone, clearly you're all in on Ohio State and you're interested. Right? If you're living in Alabama and you love college football and you don't really have an NFL team that's close by, are you still dialed into college football and not thinking about the NFL playoffs?
I think that's fair. I think both those comments are fair. I do feel like that the national championship game just kind of becomes oh, by the way, it's the national championship game tonight. I do think that it gets lost in the vortex of the NFL playoffs. And I feel like that if it ended before the wild card weekend, it'd be a little bit different. I don't know that it would make a bunch more eyeballs. It would just feel like that college football would have its own platform for its champion. Much like the Final Four in basketball, and I think. But
Chuck, is it possible to have it end before the wild card weekend? I mean, you can't. How early are you going to start it?
Well, I think you start the week after the conference championship games. I don't think there's any.
So there's no rest for that first week.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's. I mean, I think you got to figure out, and I would love for them to figure out a way for it to end on even if it's a Friday or a Saturday, but playing it on a Monday, I just think it gets lost, because I mean now you're knee deep into conference basketball, and plus the the NFL and all that stuff.
I think a Friday night would be fine. Yeah. I don't think that would have been bad. But, I mean, if you put it on the weekend with the NFL playoffs, we know it would get lost. So I think Monday's a better option than Saturday or Sunday with the NFL playoffs going on. So, but Friday I would be fine with a Friday. I think that would be good.
Yeah. At any rate, that's what a couple of things that folks have said. This from the Yates Flooring Center chat line, Jamie. I love this text. I cherish the time listening to you all with my son driving to school. I think he enjoys y'all more than I do. His change is that Texas Tech is the champion. Okay. I think we'd all sign off on that. But, man, I appreciate you subjecting your son to us, and I'm glad that your son enjoys us. That's a double win for us.
Yeah, I think I like your son's idea too. Let's just make Texas Tech the champ. But if it was every year, we'd get bored of it. It would be boring. We want a challenge, right? It's gonna be all that much more special knowing how that we've had the struggles along the way.
Yeah, and I think for me, growing up, I was an NFL guy, so it's not just because the Chiefs have won so much as they have the last 7 years, because I suffered an awful lot for 50 years. and I was still a big NFL guy even when we got to this time of the year, even if my team wasn't in the playoffs. But I can see where that would cloud things, especially on both sides of the aisle. If you're an Alabama fan, or if you're a NFL fan whose team is still in the hunt, that might diminish your passion for who's playing in the national championship game. I get all that. I see all that. It just feels like college football doesn't have the stage like other sports do when it comes to their championship moment. That's what it feels like to me. I may be totally off on that, but it's always felt that way.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Thanks for being with us with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. We come to you from our First United Bank studio this morning and continue to take your thoughts and comments on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to doublet973.com for that of the mobile app. Visual Edge IT hotline is open too at 806-771-0973. Some reaction from our conversation about the NCAA football playoff and the bracket and all that kind of stuff. Let's see, a couple things here, Jamie. 16 teams play weekly instead of working the schedule to fit New Year's Eve day. Top 12 teams make it, regardless of conference affiliation. Buys need to go away. The whole idea behind the playoff is being able to earn a spot in the playoff by meeting certain guarantee parameters. Otherwise, it's just a popularity contest. This, for us that don't like basketball, the transition from football to baseball is almost perfect. Even one more week would work. Okay. I hate that you don't like basketball, but I get it. I understand it's not for everybody. This, I say move it up a week and take it off Monday. Play it Saturday night of the wild card round. Play the NFL games at noon and 3 like every regular season Sunday, and play the college football championship that Saturday night. How about that, Jamie?
Well, you'd have to get the NFL to agree to that.
Yeah.
Right?
Bullfighter wants...
NCAA doesn't get to make that decision.
No, you'd have to. You'd have to get the NFL guys to acquiesce a little bit, and based on...
and they have done a pretty decent job of that with regard to not scheduling NFL games on Saturdays until after the regular season is over. I mean, that's when you start to see the NFL games kick up, is at, in late mid-December type frame when college football is done, except for bowl games.
That's fair. Is that the reason that they don't do it earlier? Would they do it earlier?
I mean, why wouldn't they if they were trying to dominate every day of the week?
Yeah, and I think
so.
Too, the eyeballs are going to be more on a Saturday night, maybe than at noon on a Saturday. So.
Yeah, I definitely think you could put an NFL game every Saturday night during the year, and it would get good ratings.
And it would end the conversation of everybody wanting to play at night because everybody be watching the NFL.
This from Bullfighter.
Hey, more 11 o'clock games, Jeff. It's good.
Boy, that would. I could stomach, Jamie, a noon game. It's for some reason I could stomach noon or 1. Okay, you could sign me up for 1 o'clock games, especially in the fall, October, November. I'd be good with that. It's the 11 that just. It's like. Do you have a breakfast rule? Like there's no breakfast after a certain time period on any given day?
What? Who? What? Why on earth would you limit yourself to when you can have breakfast food?
Have you not heard this take from Chuck before, Jeff?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does not believe in breakfast food for dinner ever.
I'm sorry, we've lost Chuck on the Zoom. I don't know what happened. We're not going to be hearing from him for the rest of it. How do you not like breakfast at non-breakfast times?
Breakfast, there's no breakfast for me after 10 a.m.
But you can have pizza for breakfast, though, right?
Yes, that's correct. Cold pizza for breakfast. That's correct.
Seems hypocritical.
Well, I understand.
You're being You're being a hypocrisy, Chuck.
He's just being dumb. Why wouldn't you want bacon at every meal?
Is this your first time to talk with me, Jamie? It's a philosophy. You can say it's flawed, but it's just a philosophy.
I'm gonna call it what it is.
And what's the
dumb?
What's the philosophical reason there? Like, what is it?
It's my day's going, and I just if I'm gonna, breakfast has to be no later than 10 a.m. It's just the way it is. And,
so I guess you're. No, I'm not saying that you should start a day and not eat before 10 o'clock. I'm not suggesting that. But like, if you enjoy pancakes or French toast or whatever, I mean, why not every once in a while just something different, have it for dinner?
Yeah.
But you don't love those things?
I don't.
There's nothing breakfast wise that you love?
No.
Oh,
no,
okay.
But I mean, I probably could count on my left hand the number of times that I've had breakfast after 12 noon. I mean, it's very, like 2 or 3 times maybe in my life.
What about your right hand?
Cameron says this: you all need a 1-minute mute button for cold Chuck takes. Cold Chuck takes.
You know, I didn't know I was having for dinner tonight. Takes. Now I know what I'm having for dinner tonight.
Yep.
Okay. I'm with Chuck. I will eat supper food for breakfast if I eat breakfast. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, the point is, I could stomach a noon kickoff, but I just don't like the 11 a.m. kickoffs. Somebody says this: so the Pancake Festival should end at 10. Well, it does for me. I mean, if we're going to the Pancake Festival, which is in a couple of weeks, and by the way, all you Lions out there, I've already bought my pancake tickets for this year. So, I mean, you can't swing a dead cat without running into a lion that's got 10 tickets on him that he needs to sell. Okay. So just kind of keep that in mind. Somebody says this: a stack of pancakes with sausage on the side for dinner is awesome. Hey, good for you, man. You enjoy all you want. Bacon and eggs are good anytime. Again, enjoy. Bill writes in, bacon and tomato sandwich has bacon on it. Right. I understand that.
I'm bacon cheeseburger. But bacon is a breakfast thing.
Yeah.
So you're not having a bacon cheeseburger for dinner?
I don't know that I've ever made a bacon cheeseburger at home.
I don't know that you consider bacon only a breakfast food.
No, breakfast is good at every meal of the day.
I don't. I'm talking about breakfast. Okay, I'm talking about
eggs or pancakes or French toast or something like that. Waffles.
Right. Yeah, a bowl of Cheerios, something like that. That's talking about breakfast. I'm not talking about
cereal for dinner. There's nothing wrong with it, but that does not count as breakfast for dinner.
Well, if it's Cheerios and you're putting milk on it, that's breakfast food. Captain Crunch, Cocoa Puffs, whatever your flavor is, that's breakfast food. 8:09 this morning here on the Morning Drive. Man, we got sidetracked there. Do want to get to Texas Tech in Cincinnati. We'll have the ball game for you tonight at 5. The tip at 6. As they take on a team I feel like they should beat. I feel like this is a game that you go in there and go, this is one that if you want to win 12 games in the Big 12 or more, this is one you got to have, okay?
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.